Yes, hello, welcome to On the Bench. It's our weekly sports show here on Estuary TV, where we talk about what's going on primarily in Lincolnshire and East Yorkshire. Well, tonight we're focusing on the impact of the January transfer window for our local clubs, as well as taking a look at the other big news stories from our region. And I'm delighted to say, joining us in the studio, former Mariner Matt Bloomer and Hull City commentator Tim Derrick. Gentlemen, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Also coming up on the show tonight, Matt Denson has a go at archery with the Grimsby Archers, and Tom Reed's here to answer the questions you've been tweeting in on A View from the Estuary. First though, let's round up the weekend's action in team talk. Well, in the FA Trophy, there were contrasting results for Grimsby Town and North Ferriby United. The Mariners go through to the semi-finals after a 4-1 win against Tamworth. Amare Tunkara scoring his first goal for Town. North Ferriby, though, lost 2-1 to Gosport to end their Wembley dream, with Dean Lyles scoring the consolation for the Villagers. In the Barclays Premier League, Shane Long's debut goal for Hull City gave them the lead before Paulinho's strike for Tottenham levelled it, that ending in a 1-1 draw. In Sky Bet League 2, Scunthorpe United are now 13 games unbeaten after a goalless draw with Hartlepool, but with 4 draws in a row, Chesterfield have now overtaken them at the top. Elsewhere in the region, Grimsby Borough lost 2-1 away at Clipston with an own goal from Peter Stubley. Cleethorpes versus Shirebrook was postponed. That'll be now played on Wednesday, the 12th of March. Goole lost 1-0 away at Colville, and at the Hawthorns Brig drew 2-2 against Market Drayton after throwing away a 2-0 lead in the last 5 minutes. Well, turning to rugby, in the Midlands 1 East, Market Raisin and Louth defeated Paviers 22-7. In the Junior Vars semi-final, Cleethorpes' trip to face Rugby Lions was postponed. That's been rearranged for Saturday the 22nd of February, with the winners facing Long Buckby in the final at Twickenham. In ice hockey, Hull Stingrays beat the Fife Flyers 4-1 on Saturday, but on Sunday they suffered a 2-1 defeat away to Cardiff Devils after the game went to penalties. And finally in lacrosse, Hull beat Lincoln 9-6 in the Humber Derby, having staged a remarkable comeback after trailing 5-1 at one stage. Well, remember, if you want your club's results featured on the programme, all you need to do is tweet us your result at OnTheBenchTV, or you can email in and let us know how you got on at OnTheBench@Estuary TV. Well, an unfortunate result there for North Ferriby United. Manager Billy Heath has stated that the club's hectic schedule may have finally caught up with them after the club surprisingly crashed out of the FA Trophy at the weekend. Matt, you're currently with Harrogate, of course. And do you feel, have you got sympathy with Billy there, with the fixture congestion, victim of their own success?
I do, yeah. You know, you see it happen in football. They've been extremely consistent this season, North Ferriby, which is why they're set up at the top of the league. And I think he'll be disappointed to go out the trophy at this stage against the team that did on Saturday.
Sort of thing we've seen with Grimsby Town as well. Yeah,
we were discussing earlier. You know, you hope lightning doesn't strike twice. Happened last season, obviously, with them. And is it, you know, one too many games sometimes can catch you up on a small squad.
Tim, Hull City, fresh from that 1-1 draw with Tottenham at the weekend. Is the glass half full or half empty as far as Steve Bruce is concerned?
I think as far as Steve Bruce is concerned, the glass is definitely half full. I mean, City have had a fantastic season so far. They're sitting currently in 13th position in the Premier League, albeit it's a little bit tight down there, I'll give you that. But after Saturday's result, I think Steve will be absolutely delighted with the way that the side delivered over the course of the full 90 minutes. Getting a point against Tottenham is a good result.
Really tight, as you say, down there, isn't it, at the moment?
It's difficult to know. At this stage of the season, it's difficult to know who's going to go down. I mean, as I said, we were talking earlier, and Fulham look like the side who might struggle a little bit, but apart from that, I mean, there's anywhere up to the top sort of 7 or 8, I mean, really could potentially go down. I mean, I know Newcastle have got a lot of points at the moment, but they're in a bit of trouble, aren't they, off the field? So, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting end of the season, but take a point on Saturday.
Matt, you were without a game at the weekend. How important is it to keep playing at this time of the season?
It is important, you know, especially you've had a lot of games at Christmas, and we've come into a good run of form, and you just want to keep playing and keep playing. So we was disappointed that the game was off on Saturday, but you know, that's football, that's the weather sometimes.
And what are you, 4 places off that final playoff place at the moment, aren't you? Occupied by Boston United. How do you see the rest of the season playing out for you?
It's going to be tight, you know. We're in there. We're well in with a good shot of getting in the playoffs. I think we've got 1 or 2 games in hand, and our form at the minute suggests that we could make it.
And what about, just going back where we started again, North Ferriby United at the top there? Do you think they're just going to plough on regardless of that upset in the trophy?
I think so. You know, the league form speaks for itself. They've been consistent. Ironically, we put 5 past them when we played them at our place, but I think they've not looked back since then. And they have been extremely consistent, and that's the key to get out of leagues.
Just back to Hull City a moment, Tim. Shane Long, Yelovich as well, new players starting off there. I know Shane Long was tweeting he was very appreciative of the warm welcome he had from the whole fans. How did you rate his performance?
For me, Shane Long was the more exciting of the two signings. Knowing him as a footballer, he is a superb footballer, and he's the kind of player that literally never gives you 2 seconds. You'd have hated playing against him, but he literally never gives you 2 seconds to even think about what you're going to do with the ball. So, yeah, he was delighted. I was sat literally right in front of him when he slid on his knees to celebrate after scoring that opener for City. And the smile on his face said it all, but he's surrounded by an awful lot of his international teammates as well in that side, which I think is key to getting him here in the first place, because he's a big signing for Hull City, make no bones about it. He's the most exciting signing as far as I'm concerned.
And as I implied a few moments ago, it's very tight at the bottom there. There's only, I think, 6 points separating the bottom 10 at the moment. If you want to throw Villa in as well to that, it's certainly not a clear issue, is it? And every game now, I know it's a cliche, but it's going to be a cup final, isn't it?
You look at the game on Saturday, City travelled to Sunderland, and I mean, that's a huge game. They had such a wonderful result, didn't they, at the weekend, that Hull City are going there, and after losing their previous game against Palace, City can't really afford to lose that game. They're going to have to take something at the Stadium of Light on Saturday.
OK, for now, guys, thanks very much. Plenty more to talk about a little later on. Well, next on the show, Tom Reed's here to answer your questions in A View from the Estuary. Now, did you send Tom a tweet? I wonder. Watch this to see if he answered it.
Do Grimsby Town stand a good chance of progressing to the FA Trophy final? I think they've got a very good chance, yeah. If you look at the sides that are left, is Cambridge, Gosport, Havant and Waterlooville, and Aldershot. Obviously Grimsby, there's 5 sides left in it because there's still a fixture left to play. So I think Grimsby, Havant and Waterlooville would be a very delicious fixture. Because, as you know, Havant and Waterlooville went to Anfield a few years back and scored 3. So on their day, I'm sure they can be a handful. And obviously Grimsby have got to the final last time out. So they know what to do to get there. So I think they've got a very good chance of winning that. But having said that, if they do get to that final, it might sort of hinder their progress in the league. And they've got a lot of games to make up as well. And as I said last week, that's not always a bonus. That could be a difficult task. So I think they've got a very good chance of getting to that final and maybe even winning it if you look at the sides that are left. Scunthorpe are currently 13 games unbeaten. How long can they continue this run? I think they've achieved quite a lot under the new manager, Russ Wilkins, since Brian Laws has left. Obviously, losing a manager of that quality, it's never easy for a side to react and go on 13 games unbeaten, but Russ Wilcox has done a good job because he's already been at the club. I think the next 4 fixtures for Scunthorpe are Chesterfield in first place, Accrington Stanley 17th, Portsmouth 18th, and Bristol Rovers, who are in 21st position. So if you look at those league standings there, I think obviously the first match against Chesterfield was going to be a hard match, but then the next 3 games after that are against opposition in the bottom 6 of the table. So you would think they'd get 3 points from that. So I'm sure if they can get a draw against Chesterfield, this unbeaten run can continue to 17, 18, maybe even 20 games if they keep that momentum going. Can Shane Long's goals keep Hull in the Premiership? Yeah, I think before they signed Shane Long, I would have said Hull would be safe anyway. I think there is 3 worse teams than Hull that are favourites to go down this season. So regardless of Shane Long's arrival, I think Hull would have been okay, but his goals then definitely are going to sort of help them finish a lot higher than they possibly would have without him, obviously. He scored on his debut at the weekend, so if he kicks on from there, and Jelic can chip in with a few as well, I think they'll be well on the way to staying in the Premier League. But yeah, if Shane Long can get about 10 goals before the end of the season, I think that'll help them sort of achieve just below mid-table, 12th, 13th, 14th possibly. Thanks again for your questions this week. If you want to get in touch, you can tweet us at AskEstuary, or you can now email the show onthebench@estuary.tv.
Thanks, Tom. Just a reminder of the ways you can contact Tom. You can tweet him at AskEstuary, or you can email in onthebench@estuary.tv. To a quick break we go now, though. Join us again shortly for part 2. Welcome back to On the Bench. As I mentioned, we're joined in the studio this evening by Tim Derrick and Matt Bloomer. So Friday evening saw the January transfer window close up for another year, with close to £160 million being spent by the Premier League clubs. Tim, what's your take on the whole business? Quite a day. It's become quite a blockbuster now, hasn't it? Transfer window.
What a classic, though, was it? If we're being completely honest, it wasn't a complete sort of I was watching it, but at the same time I was doing lots of other things as well. There was no deals really coming through that were going to float my boat, if you know what I'm saying. There were a couple of times in the previous transfer windows there's been big deals happening, and that really does build things up. But let's be honest, Sky Television, they love the transfer deadline because it gives them an opportunity to send reporters here, there and everywhere. They get the usual Harry Redknapp interview through the car window, but this Friday wasn't particularly special. Hull City, for instance, had their business done well and truly, or much better earlier on in the window.
And isn't that how it should be? It's about planning, isn't it? Why leave it right till the very last minute? You surely know who you're going to get, so you're going to make a play for them early on, aren't you, in the window?
Do you think that clubs actually do have that much time to sort of to organise things? I'm not 100% convinced they do. I mean, take the Hull City deal, which saw, or the Sunderland deal, which saw Danny Graham go to Middlesbrough. That went through at about 10:15 on Friday night, which left Hull City 45 minutes to fill up one of their loan quotas from another Premier League club. Didn't happen. So yeah, it is about planning, but
we'll come back to talk some more about Hull in a moment. Matt, what did you make of the whole business? Anything stand out for you? What were the highlights?
No, obviously the big one, Mata to Manchester United. I think it's a fantastic signing for them. I think he's a great player. Just to hark back for that, I think sometimes clubs could use it potentially to drive the prices of players up, which is maybe one thing that's in the club's favour, you know, for the transfer deadline. But no real big ones. Just the two lads at Hull, I think, are great signings for him, and a real statement of intent for Hull City. Yeah,
the January transfer window is very much about firefighting, isn't it, for the teams wanting to stay off relegation, and obviously a late chance and a late challenge for those looking for honours. Let's talk about Hull then, and we mentioned Shane Long a little earlier on. He's going to be a favourite wherever he goes. He demonstrates 101%, doesn't he? That's
all you're looking for. I mean, that's all you're looking for as a player. To be fair, at Hull City, we've got an awful lot of players who, that is their trademark, if you like. We've got a player in midfield called David Myler, who, not everyone's cup of tea, but the boy works incredibly hard. And the fans love him as a result of it, and Shane Long is very much in that mould.
Were you surprised that they went in for Jelavic?
I'm not surprised that we went in for Jelavic because Jelavic is a proven goal scorer at that level. He's a proven goal scorer at international level. I'm surprised he came to Hull City, if I've even been truthful with you. The Long deal, that was kind of protracted because earlier on in the season, obviously we nearly signed him on the previous transfer deadline, and that was one that really did get me excited. But to get Jelavic in, he'll take a while to bed in, I think. The chances do come his way, but he's got to finish on it.
Brady and Aluka as well coming back. It'd be like having two new players as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, again, I did tweet on Friday to say that although we hadn't maybe made any last-minute signings, our business was already done and dusted. We got a few players off the wage bill as well, which I think was important. Yeah. And with those two players to come back, they are incredibly exciting players. So.
Let's talk about Grimsby, Matt. Tunkara, remainder of the season. What do you make of him?
Yeah, well, John McDermott actually went to watch the game on Saturday, and he said he looked a real handful. Obviously, scored his home debut, which is what you want. Your striker's up and running. He said he looked very powerful, full of running, and you know, he's going to threaten defenders and hopefully score goals and take the Mariners up.
Of course, it's that twin-pronged approach again, isn't it? It's the league, it's the FA Trophy. It's just like last season all over again.
It is, yeah, but great, you know, great revenue, great for the fans. Let's just hope one doesn't kind of scupper the other.
Yeah. Back to Hull again. Matty Fryatt, Jack Hobbs. A couple of interesting situations there.
Delighted they kept Matty Fryatt because I for one, am a huge fan of Matty Fryatt. I really hope he gets his chance. He deserves his chance at the Premier League, just to see if he is a Premier League player or not. Jack Hobbs, I was disappointed to see go. I think Nottingham Forest have got themselves a very good central defender there for not a huge amount of money.
Yeah. Has Steve Bruce got enough in his armoury now, do you think, to really stave off the threat of relegation?
Yeah, I think he has got enough to stave off the threat of relegation. One thing I will say, though, on the subject of transfers, I think Cardiff did a fantastic deal to get Zaha in the building. Already proved, didn't he, on Saturday, that when he came on, he can turn a game, and I think that's probably, for me, that's the transfer deal of the window.
What about the other teams in there with you, though? What about Palace? 7 signings for them.
Yeah, again, Palace did well in the transfer window. They were one of the clubs who earned Sky their money on Friday night because they were doing some business left, right and centre, weren't they? I think probably the pick of the deals they did was Tom Ince. He was every single club last week he was photographed at, wasn't he? But yeah, fair play to Tony Pulis for getting that deal done because, again, he's an exciting player.
Let's not forget Harrogate Town as well, most importantly. Because, as we mentioned, you've still got a side of a playoff place, Matt. Any movement there at all? Any new players in on loan?
We brought 1 or 2 lads in on loan, yeah. We've got some good young players coming through as well. A young lad, Connor Sellers, who looks very lively, came on for us the other day.
That surname sounds familiar.
It does, yeah. Scott Sellers' son.
Yep.
So yeah, we look good. We've got every chance of making the playoffs.
Good. All the very best.
Thank you.
Let's move on. Time now for Matt Denson's weekly report from a local sporting club. Always look forward to this. This week he was invited along to shoot some arrows with the Grimsby Archers. Take a look at this and see how he got on.
Something a little bit different for you, a bit of a quiz. I'm going to tackle a different sport today. Now this sport, if I was to say to you, will be associated with Nottingham and maybe Robin Hood. Yeah, you're right. Grimsby Archery Club is where we're at, and this is what we're going to tackle today. And if all goes well, this is our aim. Let's see how we get on. So I'm here with Grimsby's very own, he won't like me saying this, Robin Hood. Hi Chris, how are we? You okay?
I'm good, thank you.
Now, thank you for spending some time with us. Tell us a bit about the club, because I understand you're the secretary, is that right?
I'm the club secretary, that's right.
And the name of the club is?
Grimsby Archers. We've been here for 13 years, but the club's been in Grimsby since 1952. We've had a big influx as a result of interest generated by the Olympic Games, of course. We do a 5-week beginners course as an extended taster for what archery is about.
Yes.
And then we have badge schemes and classification schemes.
What type of archery did I do today?
You've done what we call bare bow archery. That is a bow with no sights or anything.
So like what you got on your lap, you've got a standard,
This is
a bow that we used earlier, and this is called a?
This is an Olympic recurve bow, because it's the only type of bow they allow in the Olympics.
Okay. And I saw on the field some mock animals. What was that?
That's called field archery, and the idea is basically it's simulated hunting. They lay it out a bit like we lay out a golf course around woodland.
Yes.
With animals at usually unknown distances.
Right.
To make it as close to hunting a real animal as possible, except in this case the animal doesn't run away.
My name's Kevin Hughes. I'm Lincolnshire County indoor champion for the last 4 years. I think a lot of people find a sense of achievement. They start off, they might not be getting all the arrows on a target, and within a few weeks they could be having all their arrows on a target, and it's that sense of achievement as you find your arrow groups getting smaller and smaller. March 2014, I'll be defending the indoor championship title. Hopefully take it for the 5th year in a row, but whatever happens, happens.
I'm Stephen O'Connor and I'm a Grimsby archer. I've been doing archery for 2 years. When I went to Centre Parks, I always wanted to do archery. So we had to come here and I did my beginner's course. I've been with the Lincolnshire County squad for just over a month now. I would like to make it to the Olympics. I would encourage other people because it's a great sport.
The easiest way to get hold of us is through the website.
Okay.
That's grimsbyarchers.co.uk.
Yes, thanks for that report, Matt. And of course, thanks to the Grimsby Archers for having him along. Well, that's all we've got time for this week on The Bench. Thanks very much to our studio guests once again, Tim Derrick and Matt Bloomer. Thanks, guys. Good luck on Saturday against Hensford as well.
Thank you.
Matt, big game there for you. And remember, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can tweet us at OnTheBenchTV or email us onthebench@estuary.tv. Don't forget to join us again next week. For now, bye-bye.